Hi guys, I'm Ashish and you're watching me on Medical India. And so guys, the big news is that the date of the AIIMS PhD entrance has been announced and it is on 31st of October. So guys, very few days are left. So guys, I'm trying to cover all the topics of the AIIMS PhD entrance lecture series, basically on the aptitude and skill base. That is the part A. Okay guys, so guys, don't worry about it. I'll complete the whole of the lecture within the time frame. Like I will give you 2 days to revise all the topics. So guys, for the newcomers who have joined recently, this is the lecture series of 12 lectures. So guys, 12 lectures of 30 minutes, around 5 to 6 hours, and it is going to help you in the section A, basically aptitude part of the AIIMS PhD entrance. So guys, here I'm going to cover all the topics like maths, quantitative chemistry and biochemistry, cell bio, English and research methodology, biostat, all the things, and aptitude also. All the things I'm going to cover, so don't worry. If you are going through all these topics, this will be sufficient. So guys, I'm going to discuss in very brief. I'm not going to discuss all the parts, like I'm not going through the detailed explanation. I'm going to compile up all the relevant topics only, okay guys, and relevant things. So guys, let's start with the topic of the bioethics and research method. What research methodology and bioethics is actually. So guys, research methodology, as you all know, the methods in research. So guys, very important, because in AIIMS PhD entrance or any kind of JRF examinations like ICMR, DBT, they actually asks these types of questions. Why? Because if you are going to be indulged in the like kind of research work, then you should know the basics about the bioethics and the progression of the research, in which direction you are going to do your research, and what is the study plan, and what is the kind of idea from where the idea comes. So guys, before the ICD 11, I'm going to discuss about research progression, because it is very important. In some of the examinations like ICMR, JRF, and also in AIIMS PhD, and they actually give you the things, and they want to know about the like kind of order, in which order you are going to progress your research. So it is a kind of questions which can be asked in the examinations. So guys, what happens? First, the idea about the disease and the intervention. So if you are going to be a researcher in the kind of medical college like AIIMS, then what happens? It is basically the health science research. In the health science research, what happens? All the things revolves around the disease. Why? Because they actually want the medical researcher to be a kind of discoverer of the like kind of intervention, therapy or treatment. So guys, what happens after all? What is your anyone's in the research's goal? What is that? The Nobel Prize, and this is actually in the field of physiology and medicine. So why? Because all the things, all the like kind of innovations or the discoveries that you are doing in the health sciences, that is actually going to give you a kind of beneficial effect in the human welfare. So actually, disease and intervention becomes important. Why? Because patients should be cured at the end time. Okay, so it is very important to know about the like kind of idea, from where the actually origin of the idea comes. So suppose in anyone's mind, if idea about the research comes, then and he or she want to do the research in the medical college, then that is actually revolving around the disease. And then after, they have to review the literatures, that is basically what have been discovered and what I have to discover. So this is the kind of thing where you are going to find a lacuna, that what is not done in the disease and the intervention of this type of research work. So guys, what is actually the review of literature? Review of literature is a kind of reviewing all the past studies on that disease and that intervention. So this becomes the second part. Third important thing becomes the actual experiment. So it is basically the materials and materials required in the experiment, and the methods means the technologies which you are going to utilize in the due course of the experimentation. So the third thing becomes the data collection after the kind of observation and results. So after you have done the experiments and compiled up the data, you are going to analyze that data, and that becomes actually the data analysis part, which I will be covering in the like 3-4 lectures ahead. So guys, after that you are going to derive a conclusion, and that conclusion can be used for publishing the paper and or the thesis, like kind of PhD thesis or MSc thesis. So here becomes important the conflict of interest, that the work you have done has not been done by anyone in the world. So this becomes the conflict of interest. So please remember this term. This term can be asked in the examination. What is conflict of interest? So conflict of interest is the collision between two kind of similar research. So the work that you are going to do in future cannot collide with anyone's research in the past or in the world. So review of literature becomes very important part of the research progression. So let's come to the ICD-11. So guys, ICD-11 is a kind of international classification of disease. So before you are going to be indulged in the kind of discoveries about the disease and the treatment, you should know about the classification of the disease. Why? Because the extent of the vulnerability and you can say the pathogenicity of the pathogen should be known to you, so that you can take the biosafety kind of thing in your research. The precautions that you are going to take in the research actually is defined by the classification of disease. To know about the disease, ICD-11 becomes very important. ICD-11 is basically the recent one. ICD 1 to 10 has been published in the past, and ICD-11 is the most recent, you can say, published in the 2011. It is basically a report and from a body that is international classification of the disease, and it comes under the WHO, that is World Health Organization, and it actually has the origins of classification of the cause of disease, cause of death, and the diseases. So ICD-11 actually not only publishes the cause of the diseases, but also they are indulged in the clinical terms, record, surveillance. You can see here that the different kinds of works are, or the you can say work distribution of the ICD-11 has been shown. So case mix, costing means financing of the resources, cancer registration, financial burden of the in the GDP of the country, all the things are actually reported by the ICD-11. ICD, you can say 11 is the report, ICD-11 is the report. ICD is a body that is working under the WHO, just like another kind of bodies like FDA, you can say Food and Drug Administration. So ICD-11 is a kind of body. Okay, so guys, patient safety, drug safety, device safety, the intervention that you are giving, all the things should be clear, and all the things can be in accordance with the ICD-11. Okay guys, so most recent is ICD-11, and here is the chapter from chapter 1 to 20, and each chapter is here defining a kind of disease. So you can know more about the disease if you are interested in, so you can go through it. All the 20 kind of diseases are actually mentioned here. Okay, and they are actually given the category codes, so that code denotes the peculiarity of the disease. Okay, so guys, what is disease actually? Disease means dis-ease, means this means not, and ease means easy. So if you are not in an ease or not in an comfort, that is disease. Diseases can be of two types, congenital and acquired. You all know, but I'm just going to remind you all the things because the terminologies are very important. So communicable or infectious diseases, actually contagious and non-contagious are the communicable disease, two kind of communicable diseases. The touch related things, if any disease is transmitted through the touch, then it is contagious, and if not, touch only is required in the disease, then the non-contagious. So non-contagious can be due to airborne, waterborne, anything. Okay, and contagious is actually the tactile things. So non-communicable, non-infectious diseases are that disease that is restricted to the patients only. If you have that, then you only have that. Okay, so guys, degenerative or organic diseases, example heart disease and kind of nephritis, all these things are degenerative diseases where the degeneration of the cells happen. Okay, so guys, deficiency diseases actually are the deficiency of minerals. Example is scurvy, rickets, and anemia. Allergies are basically the hypersensitivity related diseases, and cancer, as you all know, is a kind of malignant disease. So guys, what happens, these all are the classification of diseases, and according to this you can go through and define the categories in the diseases. Okay, so guys, now biosafety. What is biosafety? Biosafety is very important in the research methodology. Why? Because if you are going to know about the vulnerability and the pathogenicity of the disease, then only you are going to take the proper precautions, and biosafety level 1 to 4 is in the increasing order of the biosafety, or you can say the hazardous nature of the pathogen. So biosafety 1, biosafety 2, biosafety 3, biosafety 4 actually indicates how much precaution you are going to take about the pathogen research. or you can say the research involving the kind of pathogens. So if the biosafety 4, then the highest risk with that organism is found. Biosafety 1 means no containment, means no like kind of transmission, defined organisms unlikely to cause disease. So the example is E. coli. Okay, so that is having the minimal potential to transmit the disease to the like human or to the environment also. So less hazardous is biosafety level 1. So biosafety level 2, actually containment is there, the transmission will be there, but will be of moderate risk, diseases of varying severity, has the kind of gradation in the severity. So influenza, HIV and Lyme. Very important here is the HIV, which has the kind of biosafety level of 2. Okay, so will be with the kind of things that is the agents associated with the human disease and pose moderate hazards to the environment and the personnel. Okay, so guys, let's come to the BSL-3. BSL-3 will be of high containment, high like kind of transmissibility, aerosol transmission. So here comes the coronavirus, that is the COVID-3. Okay, so guys, COVID has the biosafety level of 3, serious potentially lethal disease. These are kind of tuberculosis you can here think of, and indigenous or exotic agents are here involved, and it has a lethal effect in the environment and on the human also. So it passed through autoclave. So before going through these kind of research, you have to autoclave all the things that you are going to use in the laboratory, and laboratory will be sealed, bioseal actually the term is. So you have to bioseal your lab. So guys, by BSL-4 has the maximum containment, it has exotic or high risk of agents and life-threatening disease. These are Ebola virus, very important. Dangerous and exotic agents can pose a high risk of aerosol transmitted disease. So coronavirus sometimes can be also classified in the BSL-4. Okay, so BSL-4 and BSL-3 basically denotes the lab. So sometimes you have heard about that the lab is BSL-3, BSL-4. So this actually denotes the how much riskier things can be done in the lab. So BSL-4 is very much preferable for the coronavirus, but the coronavirus can also be done in the BSL-3 also. Okay, so guys, BSL-3 and BSL-4 both are allowed for the coronavirus research. Okay, pass through autoclave, same thing, and bioseal required in the laboratory. So guys, these were the basic information about biosafety taken for different kind of organisms. So actually of the coronavirus you can remember. Okay, if there will be BSL-3 and BSL-4, then only you can mark the BSL-4. Okay, so the intellectual property right, it becomes very important again in the research methodology. What happens if you have discovered a thing? Okay, so that should be prevented from anyone's interference. Okay, why? Because suppose if you are having a kind of enzyme that you have discovered, so anyone comes and tells that the things that you have done I have actually discovered earlier to you, then what will you do? So it is very important that you have to like prevent your kind of research work, or you can say the research outcome, from anyone's hindrance or anyone's claim. So guys, this is very important. Intellectual property right gives you right to protect your resource, or you can say your minds or creations, from any other's influence. So intellectual property refers to the creation of your mind, such as inventions, literacy, artistic work, design, symbol, names, images used in the commerce, or you hear the medical research. So that you have discovered only belongs to you is the care for the intellectual property right, care of the intellectual property rights. So three things are very important here: patents, copyrights and trademarks. So patents about what you have discovered is very important. Suppose if you are doing the same thing anyone is doing in the another lab in the world, then what happens, and you have discovered the thing earlier, then you should have the patents very like kind of in the earlier stage. So India is kind of country where it is very kind of, you can say, hectic to get the patent. What happens if you are American and you have done the research there, only in 7 days you are going to get the patent. But in India, what happens, if you all know how government works, okay, or the government like kind of employees works. Well, if you have done the patent, okay, and if you are going to submit the document here, then it will take around like 3-4 months. And the same thing that they have done, suppose if you and the American, they both have done at the same time, and you are going to submit the documents today, you will get the patent like 3-4 months later. Okay, and they are getting the like kind of patent in the 3 to 4 days, 5 or the 1 to week. Then what happens? The same time you both have worked and they are getting the patent, and then at the like due course of time you are said that your research work or your patent has been patented earlier with the another kind of person. So this is the main issue in India. So guys, Indian Patents Act 1970 actually is taking care of the patents. So these are the all different things. Do not compare anyone with anyone. Okay, so in India, if you are here, don't think about the Americans. If you are very much indulged in like research work in the Americans, so apply for the abroad research. Okay, abroad PhD. This is also the option. So guys, Office of the Controller General of the Patents and Design and Trademark, that is CGPDTM. It is basically the body under the government of India which is actually going to give you the patent. Okay, so in the similar thing in USA, United States Patent and Trademark Office is going to give them the patent. Okay, if there is a conflict between kind of things I have discussed, like two things, the American and you discover at the same time, and they both are claiming, then these kind of disputes can be solved by the World Intellectual Property Organization. Okay, so these are the basic things you can remember. Sometimes what happens, the questions can be asked at the advanced level, so please be ready for to tackle those types of questions. Okay, so guys, what happens, human ethics becomes very important. So guys, human ethics, suppose if you are going to work on the patient, then what happens, it becomes very important to take care of the privacy and the kind of risk that is associated with the patient, and you have to think about all these things in advance. So Central Ethics Committee on Human Research, it is a body of the ICMR, that is Indian Council of Medical Research. So it is a body which actually has the surveillance over the human ethics, that anyone is not violating the terms and condition of the ethics. So ethics becomes very important. The thing, the patient, or you can say the subject, that is human subject, cannot be treated badly, you can say. Okay, so the Institute Ethics Committee in all the kind of central universities, they have the institutional ethics committee, and they actually has an eye over all the human research going on in the institute. So guys, what happens, they actually take a look over the benefit risk assessment of the human research, informed consent process, that the if the patient is indulged in the research or involved in the research, then what happens, there should be a signed undertaking from the patient that the consent is there in the patients. So guys, what happens, the privacy and confidentiality can be also taken into consideration. Distributive justice to the patient is also payment. If what happens if you are like involved in the higher level of clinical trials, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials, then what happens, there should be kind of payment in the phase 2 trial, that will be the compensation basically. So compensation will be given. All these things are actually regulated by the Institute Ethics Committee. Ancillary care to the patient can be given. Conflict of interest, if any, can be resolved by the Institute Ethics Committee. So guys, these basically becomes the Helsinki Declaration. So these actually comes from the Helsinki Declaration. Helsinki Declaration is a declaration by the World Medical Association, and it is a kind of statement of ethical principles for medical research involving human subjects, including human materials. So these has the origin of like kind of human Helsinki Declaration. Okay, so Helsinki Declaration was first published in the 1964. It is actually a report, and it is most recent in the 2013. Okay, so if you are going to give an eye over these kind of declarations, it is very vast, because there are 35 declarations or postulates, you can say, in the Helsinki Declaration. if anyone interested, I'm going to share these things in the Telegram group, so please join Telegram group, and it will be available to you there. Okay, so ethical clearance and CTRI must, these are the highlights of the Helsinki Declaration, and by scientifically qualified persons and under the supervision of a clinically competent medical person only, the research can be done with the human subject. Okay, so guys, informed participants consent in the research project is required. So these are the highlights of the Helsinki Declaration. These are basically the general things, but that is actually mentioned in a kind of strict manner, and it was like kind of developed by the WMA, you all know, World Medical Association. Okay, so guys, Helsinki Declaration, if they ask 2-3 times, they have asked in the examination, like PhD entrances, so I am here discussing. Okay, so it depends on the mind of the examiners, they can ask here also. Okay, so let's prepare yourself for the to tackle, I have said, no, prepare yourself to tackle all types of questions. You don't know what type of difficulty level they are going to ask. Sometimes what happens, if their mood is like kind of very worse, then they can ask the difficulty level of 5 questions. Okay, so be prepared to tackle those types of questions. Patient consent, I have already told you that patient consent is required. If you are going to use the patient in your like kind of project, then the patient should be aware of what actually you are going to do in the patient, okay, on the patient. So patient information sheet actually is very important, which describes the risk or the side effect, benefits, compensation, I have told you, treatment strategy, privacy, withdrawal, etc. Okay, so it actually talks about all these things. And PICF is basically the patient information consent form. Here you have a signed undertaking of the patient or the subject, you can say, and along with the 2 witnesses. Okay, 2 witnesses are also required to strengthen the undertaking. Okay, so guys, these are very important things which I have mentioned here. Please read carefully, because these are very important. These are asked in the examinations. They will give you like kind of statement question, and they'll ask these type of questions. So guys, everything will be disclosed to the participants. No things should be hidden. Okay, can withdraw anytime without prior notice or explaining the reason. So this becomes very important. 1-2 times they have asked the second line question. Okay, so what happens if you are going to have a research on the participant, then participant has the liberty that they will not give you the reason, and they can skip off the like process, your experiment. Okay, so can provide diary and regime. You can provide the diary and regime to the patient or the participant, okay, if you are working on the intervention. So the second line is very important, please remember that. Okay, so guys, animal ethics or CSEA. So this is a body, actually CSEA is the committee for the purpose of control and supervision of experiments on animals. So it is a kind of body. Okay, so it comes under the Department of Husbandry and Dairying. Okay, it is actually the Government of India body, as you all know, and it was constituted under the Prevention of Cruelty of Animals Act 1960. Same like you have worked on the like human subjects. Okay, so for the animals there is also a rule that you cannot show the cruelty in your research to the animals. Okay, it ensures that animals are not subject to unnecessary pain or suffering before or during or after performance of the experiment on them. So if you are going to there is a term you all know, euthanasia. It is a sacrificing the animal. So about the sacrificing the animal, there is a strict rule that you cannot sacrifice the animal in a very kind of hectic way. So all the things that should be done will be painless. Okay, biomedical research, breeding, trading of the laboratory animals are required to get themselves registered with the CPCA. So everything should be registered with the CPCA. So CPCA has an eye over the animal use in the project works. Okay, so this is very important. So guys, in India there are various regulatory bodies which actually regulates the research on the human, or you can say health sciences. Okay, so ICMR is the Indian Council of Medical Research. Most of you know. CTRI is the Clinical Trial Registry of India. So guys, here you must know about the phase 1 trial, phase 2 trial and phase 3 trial. Okay, so these 3 trials, you just go, this is a homework that you should just Google search the phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3 trial and the difference. Okay, so this is the homework. So guys, CTRA basically is the Clinical Trial Registry of India. It actually gives the registration for the trials. If you are doing the clinical trials, then it will give you the registration number. So without the registration number, you cannot do any kind of phase 1, phase 2 or phase 3 trial in India. Okay, DCGI is the Drug Controller General of India. It is again all these are the Government of India body. So they are actually Drug Control General of India actually is giving you the permit to use the drugs in your research. Okay, so that is not the hazardous drug that you are going to use in the research. HMSC again is the Health Ministry's screening committee. It is for the international collaborators. Okay, if you are going to do a research and you want to involve some USA people, then there should be HMSC certification. Okay, CP, CSE I already have discussed, and IEC I already have discussed. So these are the 6 bodies which actually regulates the research in India. So guys, last important thing is sample size. Sample size is very important. What happens if you are going to do a research, start a research, then the first thing which the regulatory bodies sees is the sample size. Okay, why? Because the person, or you can say the resources that you are going to use should not exceed a limited number. Okay, so the biostatistically significant data can be analyzed, can be kind of can be calculated from the optimum number of sample size. Too much small and too much like kind of large sample size is very bad. Why? Because that the too much number will be the wastage of time and money, and too small will not give you the biostatistically significant result. So this is very important to optimize the sample size, and it can be calculated from the formula. So it is very diverse for different study design. Suppose if you are going to do the observational studies, if you are going to the RCT, then all the things, all the formula will be different, but this is a general formula. I am going to describe it. Okay, so you can see the sample size in the group is n equal to AB. A is the conventional multiplier and the value is given here, 1.96, and B has the conventional multiplier of the power and it has a 0.842 value. Okay, sigma is the population variance. So sigma mu1 minus MCRD, mu1 minus mu1 is the population mean of the treatment 1, and so does the with the 2. Okay, so guys, minimal clinical relevant difference. Okay, so this is the MCRD. So this and sigma, it becomes very important to know, and this can be from where this comes. Actually this comes from your review of literature. If you have reviewed many literatures and you have found that the difference was, or you can say the deviation was this, so you can set that deviation. Okay, and mu1 minus mu2, that is the MCRD, that is also subjected to your review of literature. Okay, so if you have done the review of literature very properly, then you are going to calculate the sample size only. Okay, so sample size in each group will be a very important factor. Okay, so this was all about, I think, the research methodology and bioethics related to the AIIMS PhD entrance. And please guys, actually I was not well today, but I have to take the lecture, so the like kind of voice was thoda weird. Okay, so guys, let's revise. I'm going to take the lecture in all alternate day, like 20 if I've taken the lecture, 22, 24, 26, 28 and 30. Okay, so these are the dates on which I'm going to take the lecture. So now be attentive, very few days are left. So all the best to all of you, and please don't forget to share the lecture to the needy ones. And thank you guys, thank you so much.